is gone. Okay. I thought that we were ready to start the round, but apparently we are not. Alright. Cool. Fun. Alright. We'll get this sorted out eventually. Okay. They're all back in. Perfect. Swap to red team. Swap to red team. Alright. We're good to go. Ladies and gents. Ladies and gentlemen. Pretty sure the stream has started at this point. Pretty sure. Not really sure. But pretty sure. Yep, okay. We are good to go again. And now, be the Dallas Valkyries versus the Boston Arrogance. Now these two teams are a little bit interesting, because the Dallas team kind of won their last game in a bit of a weird way, but it was still a 4-0. As many people have probably heard me repeat time and time again, the Dallas Valkyries managing to win last map Route 66 off of Grubmerk's Bastion with the flank. It is a known strategy now. People know that it's coming. So is it going to be as effective this time around? Meanwhile, Boston is technically in second place in the league. Technically second. However, even though they're technically second, that is kind of a bit of a misnomer. Boston did get a free 4-0 last week because they won by default against the team of the Los Angeles Vigilance. So now we're going to be seeing these two kind of odd teams with kind of weird placements go against each other. We're going to start on Anamira. Yes, rabbits, I see you. Rar. Very cool. Sorry to tell you, Dakota, but yes, Rabbits was in fact the first person to say something at the beginning of the round. These two teams, a bit different in the way that they operate. The side of Boston has a lot of really good players in individual moments. So you have 15 Bang, which is Athena, who plays a really good Genji when she gets a blade, and a really good McCree. However, then you also have 14, who plays Junkrat and Reinhardt, and gets good value. Milos also gets good value. Sombra, Deadbolt also gets good value. There's a reason that this team succeeded so well, at least in their first round. But again, they didn't play last weekend because their opposing team had to forfeit because they couldn't manage to muster up enough in the way of players. Meanwhile, the side of the Dallas Valkyries don't have that same problem. They've played every weekend so far. They have earned their place at the table, and they have the Element X that got them this far with Grubmerk playing with them once again. It'll be interesting to see how these two teams interact here. They have pretty different compositions by looking at it. Boston is running a really high comp in the way of, it can't really confirm kills all that well unless Milos does a good job, but it has a lot of utility with the Junkrat being able to spam out corridors and Milos just kind of existing as a Sombra, especially in this backline. He's going to go for an early pick onto Grubmerk and succeed. He's going to want to get out of there. Now it's going to stop the enemy team's push for another about 15 seconds before they're even able to get in a strong start. Considering the side of the Dallas Valkyries is a dive team, that's going to hurt them quite a lot. Milos sees this monkey in their backline. He wants to go and duel him, but he doesn't have a lot of health to do it. He's going to come pretty low, gets an Orb of Harmony though, and that should keep him all topped up. No one's really dealing with this monkey up here in their backline, and now that they've lost a person, the Boston Arrogance side, especially since that person was their main healer, they're going to be struggling quite a bit here. Niels gets taken out by the Deathstroke. This Ana trying to keep her tanks alive as well as they can, but there's not really a lot of enemies that can even do much damage at this point. Most of them are dead. 15 also taken out by a pretty good nade from pause play. The first point will be taken with only a little bit more than a minute of time used for the Dallas side. As far as ultimates go, Cyclical, Lemming, and 14 both have the Junkrat tires, so Cyclical is going to be trying to get some opening picks in order to really get the point started for his team and get an early advantage, and 14 is going to have to use his tire in order to try and recompense for whatever advantage might be gained. Milos tries to take out the Zenyatta, but only gets slept and picked for it. Junkrat Tower gets taken out. 14 also managed to take out pause play with his dead corpse. 14 still holding on to this tire, and honestly, I think it's going to be a pretty big ask for the side of Dallas to try and take the point this time around. They're going to be looking to try and force out as many ultimates as they can, and it's not really going to be worth it for them, as all that they've done now is feed more ultimates. Boston was really good about not using anything unnecessarily there. They have 4. They're coming up on Deadbolt's Reinhardt ultimate with the Earth Shatter. And pretty soon they'll have Lizka's Coalescence. Moira has one of the fastest ult charges in the game. Pause play getting a bit aggressive, almost gets hit by that Fire Strike that would have taken him down to around about 1 health. Again, look at the discrepancy here between these ultimates. Dallas is going to be pushing into this, but Pause play manages to get the sleep again. Had the team managed to get a little bit of burst damage onto that, they would have certainly been an early and quick kill. 14 used a tire, perhaps a little bit unnecessarily. His team had basically already won as soon as the enemy was in the Graviton, but I guess he just decided it's not guaranteed, I just want to make it over and done with. Milos is now getting a bit aggressive here. He could go for an early pick onto Hockey Man if he wanted to, maybe looking at pause play. Yep, he's looking for an early pick onto Hockey Man. Almost succeeds. Is he going to get the final chips of damage off before he gets caught himself? He has to retreat. So close. So close to getting the little bit that would have delayed the enemy team for just a bit longer. Milos now getting in the background again. He wants to go for this Zenyatta. Hockey Man, this time almost taken out, but again, the sleep comes through, and now Zenyatta is going to try and get his revenge, but unfortunately, Milos gets waken up just a little bit too early for him to get the execution off. As far as ultimates are looking here, this time it's the side of Dallas who have quite a lot of ultimates to their name. Puts in basically all of them into the fray. Pause play trying to keep his teammates alive as well as he can. He's doing a very good job as Ana this entire round. Grubmerk being kept up, and now 14 trying to rain down some fire from above. Get a little bit of ult charge. And I recognize this. I have to try and contest this point. Otherwise, it's going to be taken away before my team can get a chance to come back in. Unfortunately for him, it looks like Dallas is already going to take this with almost 4 minutes remaining. Really fast takes from them. They did good to wait it out, let the enemy team burn off a lot of their ultimates until finally, they managed to get all of their ultimates ready to go for one final aggressive push. Look at all the time that's remaining for them. Really strong, and it's going to be difficult for Boston, no matter how good they are, to try and keep up with that. Going into this, it looks like the side of Boston really like having Milos on Sombra. Do they like that for attack as well? We'll see, but it wouldn't surprise me. Milos instead looking like he might be relegated to the off-healer role. Now the side of Dallas is going to be kind of considering, what can we run here? What do we know that the enemy team liked running? They don't want to run this, they don't want to run the Zenyatta again because it came so close to death over and over again. Pause play basically had to pocket him in order to keep him alive, if ever. It's very difficult to keep the Zen alive under normal circumstances, and they assume, again, that Milos is going to be on that Sombra again, so it's a pretty safe bet. Now, with the composition that they've decided to go with, it's pretty good. It's a lot of spam damage, and the healers can basically take care of themselves. This is a really self-sufficient comp. That's just... ain't that some BM. Meanwhile, in the Hall of Evil, the Boston side is ready to go. Bit of an aggressive, really kind of close-range composition, except for 14 on this Hanzo. So this is actually going to be really interesting to see how these two teams interact with each other with these two exact hero selections. We're starting off with a charge, and someone's been caught in the trap. Reinhardt's going to be a little bit away from his team, but no one's really dealing with him. Even trades coming through, mainly out of luck, but the kills are starting to go into Dallas's favor off of a good pin from Deathstroke and a good pick from Grubmerk. Deadbolt's now purple. He knows that he can't really live through much more of this, and eventually he will fall. Pause play, benefiting from the healing that goes to everyone because of the Brigitte. It's a really good play, usually. To play the Ana and the Brigitte, I actually think it's probably the strongest healer combination in the game, to be honest. I've been surprised that no one's used it up until right about now, but Dallas seems to have figured out something that they feel like can work. Posplay trying to keep himself and his Hanzo alive. A little bit of a struggle here, and his team is kind of having some issues all the way over there. He's nanoed the Reinhardt, not a bad idea. Managed to take out two with the tire as well from Cyclical Lemming. It's pretty good off the back of a couple of ultimates. Dallas will be able to take a losing scenario and turn it into a winning one, and that's what we like to see here. But notice, Athena is coming up on this blade. 15 almost has this blade. Maximus has the Graviton Surge. If they go in with this right now, they could do a lot of damage. Nothing on the side of Dallas can deal with the Grav, especially a Grav comboed with a Blade and an Earth Shatter if they really want to guarantee that this is a victory. They go in, Boston manages to get it, even if Athena only manages to get two, still basically just a communal pit of damage, going in, getting as much damage as is necessary. Now they won't capture it as fast, but a couple of the Dallas members are kind of getting caught out here, and if they get picked early, this is going to be a really good advantage for this enemy for the side of Dallas. But after the Sleep and Fire Strike combination, they're actually going to be the ones who buy themselves a little bit of time as Athena goes down early. Now they have Hockey Man with the armor, which should keep a lot of them alive through this next couple of pushes. In case things get rough, they're coming up on the Junkrat tire, they're coming up on the they have the Graviton Surge. These teams both have pretty clear win conditions now, and it'll just be a matter of trying to play around the other, because these two teams don't really counter each other all that well, so it'll just kind of come down to raw skill, and raw skill is being used with those Ana sleep darts, taking out that Reinhardt, at least making it easier for the rest of his team too, and that'll be a team wipe from Dallas onto Boston. I would say that so far, the hero for the Boston side, while Grubmerk has done quite a lot, especially getting the first pick on the enemy Hanzo and stuff like that, really, Posplay is doing such a good job of being a kind of surprisingly good Ana player. In so many instances, he's really good at hitting sleep darts. He knows when to use his utility, and he does a really good job of not dying, just in general. Grubmerk manages to get off the ultimate and manages to even cut through the excess healing from both of these support ultimates, and now they're just going to kind of abuse the fallen bodies of the enemy Boston team, trying to stagger them out, get some extra ult charge. They don't really manage to succeed. In fact, one of their number will fall, and Grubmerk is not in a favorable position right now. Athena manages to take him and the Reinhardt down. This is actually going to be really bad for Dallas. They need to try and step back and group back up. A little bit of time, and their team will be able to reconvene. Things get too bad, though. Cyclical Lemming has this Riptire, and it's coming out. Is it going to find anyone, though? Manages to at least get the Lucio. That's a 4-6 advantage for Dallas. Athena trying to even up the playing field, but only manages to find the Junkrat. That's going to be nearly enough. Deadbolt lets himself be killed. He doesn't really want to delay any longer. I think he probably should have kept swinging to get some ult charge, but if he decided that the best way was just to go out with a whimper, then that's what he decided. Notice, though, Dallas has more time now. At this point, it's just going to be them trying to pad out their victory. As far as ultimates go, the side of Boston used basically everything that they had, and Dallas is already coming up on at least 2 of their ultimates. In fact, now they have Grubmerk with this Hanzo ult yet again. If the enemy team decides to walk it through this hole, they see where everyone is. He gets a headshot with the actual arrow that's released from the Dragon Blade, but because it was onto a tank, it doesn't do enough damage. Speaking of doing enough damage, Cyclical Lemming is going to do enough to take out 14. 14 is actually dying first in a lot of these instances up top here. I'm not quite sure why that is. Maybe he's just not playing behind the shield. Maybe he's being a little bit aggressive. But in either case, it's making things a little bit rougher for his team than they already are. He's decided, I've had enough of trying to play the Hanzo, so now he's swapped onto the Pharah. It's a bit of an interesting decision. Grubmerk and Pause Play can absolutely take him down if they have the aim for it, though. So it's not necessarily going to be a really strong counter against what the enemy team is playing, but it's going to be an attempt at one. The ultimates for Boston are starting to come online. They have half of their team. They're going to be pushing into about 5 ultimates by the end of this fight, but it looks like they're going to get a tick for free. Is anyone going to contest before they get the second? Yes, it's going to be the Ana player. They're nanoing their Reinhardt to try and get something done. A lot of ultimates coming out, maybe a little bit too much, but then again, Dallas has not won this fight yet. Things are going in their favor, especially because of the spawn advantage, and that was a little bit aggressive from Deathstroke, but it will still get the job done. Liz will be the last to fall, but her team fell shortly in front of her, so you can't really call that a stagger. So now, these two teams, well, we see the ult advantages now back in the favor of the Boston side, even if not too much, because Hockey Man still has his rally to give the rest of his teammates armor, and that will be really good to help them survive 15's Dragon Blade. But if Maximus comes up on this Graviton, and if 14 can get enough damage into the Graviton as well, then it basically won't matter how much armor they have. It'll still be enough burst damage to cut through them. Rally's coming out. They expect the fight to start soon. Notice that there's only a minute of time left. Now, if Dallas can push this into overtime, then the best that Boston will be able to do is tie with them. So that's what they're looking for. But there's a bit of a C9 going on in the background. Almost manages to get a second tick, but Dallas just isn't going to let it be that easy. Now Milos is going to try to escape with his life. And he will manage to fly to someone just in time. Now Dallas is looking in a pretty good position here. They still have 3 ultimates, but notice that it's not exactly so bad for the enemy team as well. Again, Boston wants to try and cap this without it going into overtime, but that's going to be really hard, especially since Dallas is now aggressing onto them. Far Barrage comes in. Only 4 seconds left for them to cap it without going into overtime. It doesn't look like they'll be able to do it. They might still be able to catch this at the very tail end. Getting to the second, probably getting the third, but the Tracer from Pause Play comes in with the armor from the Brigitte. These kills need to be coming in a little bit faster if they want any chance of stopping this anytime soon. It's just kind of not happening. 14 is back in. I'm no longer in the party due to a network error. That's fine. It's going to be Dallas Valkyries taking it. Not even letting the enemy team capture it in overtime. Again, by the time that it reached overtime, it was basically over anyway. It was basically over for the side of Boston regardless, but Dallas still did really well there. Eight Dragon Blade kills, 3 Dragon Blades, 2200 damage blocked, 31% of team damage taken, healed by a single Ana. Could Boston lose a game? Could Boston lose a game? Well, keep in mind that Boston only won their last game by default. The enemy team didn't show up. Now they did get a really strong first win anyway, but still, it's worth talking about. That, you know, It's not like either one of these, just saying. Just saying. And now, next map that we'll be going on to is Lijiang. Lijiang Tower coming in. I'm going to go ahead, check the Discord, make sure that no one's saying that we're getting any swaps. It doesn't look like it. Okay. We're good to go. No one's telling me otherwise, so we go again onto Lijiang. Pause play is Pog, dude. I mean, just from what we've seen here, you could make a pretty good little compilation of all the sleeps that he got. I mean, the dude hits like 70% of his sleep darts. He's pretty wild. Now, this map kind of favors playing it far, favors flankers. There's a lot of ways that you can approach this map, specifically this map right here. The tower, or Lijiang Garden, I guess it's called. Not very much of a garden, is it? Like, there's like bushes and like 10 trees. Nah, it's not very much of a garden. But regardless, it's still going to be these two teams going at it eventually. The question is how they will choose to approach this. Now, I hope Grubmerk does stay on that hamster, because hamster on this map is actually really strong. You can knock enemies off the map, you can contest a point for a really long time, you can obviously get back to the point even if you do die pretty quickly. So I hope that Grubmerk stays onto this hamster ball.
5, 4, 3.
It looks like I'm going to get as I desire. Triple tank, triple support comp coming in from Dallas. Meanwhile, a pretty standard, not necessarily dive, because they have Lizka. What are you doing, Grubmerk? Grubmerk hitting them from the back. What a mad lad. He is taking a lot of damage and feeding a lot for that, but it doesn't really matter. His team is still winning all the way back over here. Grubmerk doing a lot of damage, or at least causing a lot of chaos to go down on the point over here. Now with the slam down, he gets so much ult charge for that. This game is very loud now that I'm not in chat. Jesus Christ. So the side of Dallas is still beginning to fall. A blade already coming in from Athena, but then Grubmerk coming in with a minefield. The capture did initially go for Dallas, so they are going to be pretty well off with the first 15% to start with. Dallas is going to kind of be looking to find a way back in here, almost just a little bit longer until the enemy team will have exactly their percentage of capture. Coalescence coming through. This is absolute hell on my ears, but that's fine. Grubmerk up in the air. Deadbolt's kind of trying to contest him up there. He's really the only person who can. No other long-range hit scan to the side of Boston. And finally a shower will come in. Grubmerk wants to get in nice and close so he can't miss. This will be a team wipe for Dallas onto the side of Boston. Pretty well done from the Dallas side, getting in a really huge shatter. So really, I mean Cyclical Lemming getting in a really huge shatter. Cyclical Lemming, remember, last time was a Junkrat player. I don't know why they decided to move him onto the main tank role, but he's doing a good job so far. Lucio gets pinned into the wall. Unfortunate for him, especially dying with that ultimate. And now, a lot of the healing is going to be down as well. Athena coming in with this blade, manages to at least find one. Now trying to cut into the armor of Pause Play. It's going to be really tough. You can't get a lot done against that armor with just a little blade that you have as Genji. However, all of Dallas is still, even after enduring all of the ultimates that were just thrown their way, and even after losing Shenron at first, managed to basically hold that, only using Pause Play's rally to keep everyone alive, and Deathstroke's whole hog in order to push the enemy team into the corner. Grubmark coming in through the side. He almost has his barrage, and now he has it. So he's just going to be looking in for a window onto the enemy team with a quick barrage in. Try to catch at least 2 people. The Deadbolt's ultimate will find 2 with the help of the Bastion. A little bit of an odd timing. He's going to be caught in the window there. That's going to be Dallas losing that point. However, it is coming down to the fact that now Dallas just needs to win one more engagement here. They're so close. They're at 88%. They have 3, almost 4 ultimates, and now they're kind of swapping up their composition a bit to deal with what the enemy is running. Pause play onto this Doomfist as well. And a little bit of a struggle here as Cyclical Lemming is the first to fall. However, they do start to trade a little bit evenly. Hooked off of the map is the Reinhardt. They want to use these ultimates, and finally they're going to go in. 14 tries to no avail to get any sort of picks off the back of the Tactical Visor, but there's just too much health for him to actually succeed. Cyclical Lemming now has this Earth Shatter. If the enemy team does try and get in any sort of last-minute engagement, and they have the ults to do that, they have a little bit of time as well, he wants to try and shut it down before they get too far into it. They do manage to get starting picked onto the enemy team and a D-Mech. 2 people shattered will make a good Cyclical Lemming happy. Opposing shatter comes down, but it shouldn't be enough. The numbers are still way too in favor of Dallas at this point. There's going to be Dallas taking the first of the possibly 3 maps on Lijiang. They're very good at casting. Yes, you're correct. I am very good at casting. Finally. I'm actually going to go ahead and join a solo party on my own because if I don't and I just have to like listen to this the normal way, it's going to continue just being hell on my ears, and I am not having that. By going into a party, it dims the sound a little bit for me. Now, the side of Dallas is going to be playing 4 tanks, 2 support against the kind of more standard comp that Boston is running. They're just looking to get to the point first and then fight here with the advantage in positioning. I'm already taken out of that party. Okay. Cyclical Lemming almost taken out of the game, but his team will be there to back him up, give him the support that he needs. They find 15 to start with. The Reaper of Deadbolt shooting onto the backside of everyone, but it's just not enough. Like, the Reaper is able to do a lot of damage because there's so many big bodies, but he's not able to get any kills because they all have so much health. Dallas in a strong position now. They're coming up on or have basically, or at least close to half on all of their ultimates, except for Hockey Man, who has his in order to keep the team alive with the Coalescence. Meanwhile, the enemy side of Maximus only has the 1 ultimate with the Shatter. You're going to be trying to hit them from above. 14 trying to slam onto them with this rocket fire. Getting a lot of ult charge at the very least, and no one on the enemy team can really contest him. Trying to get a boop, manages to find Hockey Man, so both sides of Moira's will fall. One more literally than the other. Get it? Because she falls off a cliff. It's nothing. Cosplay is using ultimate, manages to find at least the shield of the enemy Reinhardt, but that's about it. Grubmerk in a pretty strong position here, has a decent amount of charge and can back up into his team, but they begin to fall. He doesn't go down to the shatter, but everyone else does, and that'll basically be a team wipe as Pause Play had been killed a little bit previously. Pause Play looking to swap up here by the looks of it, but the rest of his team basically have their ultimates, so this is going to be 5 ultimates trying to retake against 14 having this barrage in position, but he's been spotted. 14 has this barrage, but he's been spotted. Pause Play wants to take him out. They probably know that he has this barrage, so he at least wants to try and delay him. The rest of the enemy, or the rest of the Dallas team, have started to move onto the point. Really well done from the soldier, getting in so much damage, but it's just not enough. Keep in mind that because of what Pawsplay was doing there, it basically meant that the side of Boston were down a Pharah and a Mercy for a lot of the beginning of that fight, and they still managed to win it anyway. However, Pawsplay did get a lot of ult charge off of doing chip damage onto the Pharah that entire time, so even though he just swapped on the Soldier, he almost has his ultimate, and if he can just get the tac buys, he can probably take the Mercy and the Pharah out of the air really quickly. Pawsplay is looking for him, and he just so happens to find him a little bit too late. Doesn't even finish off the kill. That's a bit of a misclick, I think. Most of your team is already dead. I think he just wanted to try and save whoever he could, but there are better places to use that. The Pharah is going to get rezzed anyway. Pawsplay kind of struggling a little bit to find much value here. Meanwhile, the side of Boston is starting to come alive. They have control of this. They have the ultimates to hold it. It's going to come down to one fight. If Boston can win it, then they will manage to at least even up this map. Make it 1-1. With the combination of the Zarya Graviton and the Rhino, it should be everything that they need. But so many ultimates are happening all at the same time. It's an absolute mess, but somehow Boston is still managing to basically have no casualties. Pawsplay also getting kicked off of the map. A team wipe onto the side of Dallas will make Boston the winners of this map in particular. Is this total mayhem? Haha, maybe. Maybe. At the very least, it's pretty chaotic. I wouldn't be surprised if Pawsplay swapped maybe onto something else. Yeah, there he goes, onto the Genji. He wasn't getting much value out of Soldier. It's hard to get value out of Soldier, even if the enemy team has a Pharah and you need a hit scan. Usually the better play is running something like a Hanzo, which might get a one-hit kill onto her with a headshot, or a McCree, who might be able to do the burst damage that's necessary. The side of Dallas is just kind of interesting here because they're going to be playing a Hamster Ball and a Reinhardt into the enemy team with a Pharah and a Reaper, and that's kind of a rough game to play. Grubmerk is going to let himself be known, just getting a little bit of chip damage, not really much in favor of him. He's trying to knock the Reinhardt away from the rest of his team, but only gets a passing success. Grubmerk sees that Reinhardt, they know that he's trapped, they want to get the kill, and they do. 14, meanwhile, trying to rain down fire onto Shinra and Destiny, almost gets the kill, finally closes it out. The numbers are still going in favor of Boston here, but with a good trade-off there, it's starting to change the tide of the battle in Dallas' side. Boston decides we kind of have to retreat, and they at the very least give up the point. Grubmerk only halfway of this minefield. He probably kind of wishes he was better off here. Minefield is really strong on this map in particular because the enemy team has to come through one of two choke points, and if you can get position and slam down on them, you can stop them from getting much in the way of distance whatsoever. Grubmerk just trying to find a place to hook onto, and he's just not getting any momentum. Meanwhile, the rest of his team falls over to the side. Pawsplay pulls out the blade. He wants to bring this back in his team's favor. Does manage to find two. A third. Pawsplay getting in so much work. Will get taken out by 14, so it's still an even fight. 14 trying to bring this back around to the rest of his team, and more importantly, no one on the side of Dallas can actually stop him. Even after Pawsplay got such a huge blade, they're going to have to give it up, and Pawsplay is going to swap. Area denied, but the barrage comes out. That takes out both healers. Deathstroke kind of telling his team to group up. He can tell that this fight is lost, and anything else that they do is kind of just wasting time. But Pawsplay manages to get a kill onto Maximus, kind of with the help of Deathstroke's Fire Strike. They don't have a shield tank, so they want to go in, get Deadbolt. Almost managed to succeed, but he gets the bubble just in time. So many ultimates for the side of Boston. It's going to be really difficult for Dallas to win this next fight. Even the fight after that, they're probably going to want to get in some dry pushes here and not try and waste too much. They do get a kill, but ultimately it's not going to do them much of any good. Cyclical Lemming is going to fall down just to die.
You have my thanks. Damage increase.
Just how I like it.
I will not waste this opportunity.
Alright, Beta Caster's back. Don't ask where I went. Anyway, this is last fight territory. Boston is in a really good position here. Hoping to get something off of those ultimates, and they will kind of manage to succeed. A lot of trades coming out. Draw. Dallas kind of managing to finally get a hold onto this. You see, basically what happened is, like I said, yeah, you missed the whole fight. Shut up. I know I missed the whole fight. The thing is that this is, like I said, very loud. In order to compensate, I've been yelling, and people don't like that. But, doesn't really matter. This fight's going Boston's way. They have enough ultimates. They have enough space. Boston's going to capture this, and they're going to take Li Jiang. Currently, it's, oh boy, where did the pause button go? Where did the pause button go? Who changed what the pause button is? Huh. Well, I know Cyclic left. I can see it. He lagged out? Okay. For some reason it didn't let me pause. I'm not sure why. He had 200 ping the whole game. Okay, so he probably wasn't joining back in anytime soon. Sorry, rabbits. It didn't let me pause. Anyway, I'm now gonna go ahead and try and silence this, cause ooh-wee, it is loud. Well, music can say basically the same. That's not really a problem. Name voice volume? I don't think that even matters, does it? Nah, I think that's basically fun. Okay, so now that I can like hear myself think and I don't have to yell, Boston cheated and deleted the pause button. Pause button has been removed from play. Oof. He went to take a shit. Fucking Christ. Alright, we good to go? Boston cheated and deleted the pause button, yeah. Yeah, I know, pause. Like, do you people think I can't see? Alright, just tell me when we're good to go on Dallas's end. No point in pausing, was end of map, we good. Okay. At least, yeah, it wasn't L either way. Okay. Alright. At the very least, so Dallas recognizes pretty bad situation for them. So they're fine. They're fine with taking that L. They're not calling foul. I'm pretty sure that we're good to go. So now the next map will be Hollywood. It's currently 1-1. Don't know why I pressed that. Alright, everyone's basically saying that we're good to go, I think, so we go into Hollywood.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Is it best of 3 or best of 5? It's not best of anything, because we play 4 maps either way. or rings, I'm not sure which. I won't be silent, just saw it live, sorry. Jesus. It's not a best of 3 or a best of 5. We played a 4 maps. And it's a map differential system, like Overwatch League has. So, yeah, 5 if tiebreaker is needed. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. Sorry I'm new here. Aw, it's okay. You said I was a good caster. I could never be mad at you. It's going to be Dallas attacking again. Dallas attacking first the whole time. Aren't you Shay, though? Oh. Sorry, I'm new here. Oh, okay. I didn't... Yeah, it is Shay. Never mind. I don't know what I'm saying. No, I'm Shay. Yes, but I don't think Trivia knows. Lol. Yeah, no, I'm Shay. Yeah, but one of you actually is, though. Boston's playing pretty standard. They like Milos on Sombra. They like 14 on Hanzo. 14 on Hanzo didn't get them a lot of value on Amira, but they're hoping that on Hollywood it's going to be a little bit of a different story. It's going to be hard for Milos to find much value other than EMPs here. There's no one that he can really effectively pick off unless he goes after Grubmerk, and it's going to be difficult even then. He's trying to get in some chip damage, but he's not going to be doing much that's substantial other than almost dying. Maximus already at halfway to his ult charge. That gets him pretty far above the rest of the gang in this game. Ryan takes a hit, and the Shatter will come in early. Reinhardt dies, so not a lot of follow-up onto it, but still doing a pretty good amount of damage. Cyclical Lemming aggressing onto this Zenyatta, but it's just not going to do enough damage before he gets taken out. It's kind of become a little bit of a skirmish, but still in Boston's favor, so I think Dallas is just going to want to retreat. Yeah, as they begin to fall one after another, it's still going to be Boston basically just kicking the Dallas rats out of their house. Aside, Milos manages to find a finishing blow onto Deathstroke, which is going to delay the team of Dallas even more, but a trade onto Deadbolt is going to be a pretty good way to start that off. The bomb also finds 2, so the only way that Boston can hold this is if they kind of put in some ultimates, and I don't think they're confident enough to... I don't think they're confident enough to do that, so I'm pretty sure Boston will just kind of take the loss here and let the Dallas side capture first in about a minute and a half. Pretty well done from them. They have a lot of time on the board, but they're going to be pushing into 5, almost make it 6 ultimates, and they don't have too much to show for it, especially now that Cyclical Lemming has been taken out. But Grubmerk will try and even it up until Shinron also falls. They are really close to their spawn doors, though, so it's not that bad of a problem. Two teams are now kind of staging here. No one's contesting the cart, so it's getting a lot of free space. Now Deathstroke getting a bit aggressive as well. Dragons will come in and try and split the enemy team, and Deadbolt takes a lot of damage for it, but it's not enough to take them down. Junkrat up top, looking to be kind of going around, and it looks like the Hanzo might expect that. Tyre comes through, and the enemy team kind of knows where it's coming from. Just because they know doesn't mean that they can stop it before it takes out one of their own. With 3 ultimates, they're going to get a team wipe, though. Once they finally manage to find Cyclical Lemming, who's still stuck in the saloon, probably wants to make himself a drink before he gets taken out and put in the dirt forever. Yeah, he's been spotted out. All that he's doing at this point is staggering. He has a little bit more than 85 health. Keep in mind that Sombra that entire time can see anyone who's less than half health. So Sombra knew where he was the entire time that was happening, at least if Milos recognized his silhouette. Deathstroke almost has the Winston ult, so he can afford to get kind of aggressive here. But he can't ult if he gets taken out while hacked. charge will come through. So many charges from Maximus, and all of them are finding a lot of value. They're doing such good for his team this entire time. And once again, Cyclical Lemmings just falls last. Cyclical seems to have this idea that he needs to be shooting in from the back line in order to get much value, but it's kind of a weird, I would say almost misinformed opinion maybe. It hasn't done him much good so far. I think he just needs to be pushing in with his team and benefiting from the distraction that they're making on the front line. 4 ultimates for the side of Dallas, and only 14 eventually having his on the opposing side. The bomb manages to find 3 because the Reinhardt shield was oddly tilted. And Coalescence will find the 4th, so that's a lot of free push that's going to be made. It's not going to be enough to actually get to the end, but it will be enough to get pretty close. Hockeyman getting a pick there will also do a good job of cementing it. And now Milos in the background here wants to get healed up, almost has his ultimate, so he knows that if he can just get this EMP, he also wants to delay the payload a little bit. No one seems to realize that he's there until he makes himself known by hacking the Moira. Doesn't get much value out of it though. Milos is still looking to get this ultimate, but so many of his teammates are so low, and they begin to fall. Cyclical Lemming pulls the tire because he thinks that he need it, but the enemy team was already dead. 14 also uses Dragon, manages to find 2, but it still shouldn't be enough. His team is still just now respawning in. They won't be able to make it in time. Grubmark is dragoning spawn and finds Athena, but that should be all. Everyone else is already spawned in from the other, newer spawn. All the way at the end of the point. 3 minutes left. Dallas Valkyries in a pretty good position, and now they've taken out Milos' translocator. A Sombra without a translocator is usually a pretty dead Sombra, but Milos manages to save himself. Fortunately for 14, he cannot do the same, and now Pawsplay is also getting quite a lot of damage done from that Sombra, but he'll take her out as well. Pawsplay doing a lot of damage, even on Sombras that have the advantage over him. Pawsplay looking to engage a little bit more. He almost has his ultimate as well, and now he sees his monkey going in, so he feels a little bit more confident. Maximus has his ultimate, but he doesn't pop it before he dies. That might be his last opportunity to have done so. He gets pushed into the dragon. That's going to be a cap for Dallas. I hate that all of you people in the chat keep on saying, pause, PogChamper, poggers, pause, because every single time I see that, I think, do I have to pause the game? Did I miss something? Do I have to press the pause button? Still doing pretty well off is this team of the Dallas Valkyries. They have 2 minutes rounded up to go here, and really they're in a pretty good position as well. Just be good then, Trivia. Just be good, Forehead. Just be good, lol. But yeah, Dallas is in a really strong position here, because keep in mind that even if Boston do manage to cap it, all that Dallas really has to do is delay them until it gets into overtime, because if they can delay them until it gets into overtime, then Boston actually won't get another opportunity to recontest. So Dallas has a few different win conditions here. They could either stop them from capping to third entirely, or they could just try and delay for as long as possible. And I think regardless of what their strategy is, they're going to be trying to stop them from capping whatsoever. They're picking a pretty interesting composition to do it. It's basically a counter dive for the most part. Lacking a Mercy replaced with a Moira, but that's not really a big deal whatsoever. We're going to be playing against 14 on the Pharah, and because of an oddly placed shield, he's already able to get in quite a lot of damage and a direct hit onto Hockeyman. If he had kind of followed up on that, he would have done even more damage. Milos goes down just about immediately. However, Athena is on Mercy, so she could go for the res if she finds the opportunity. 14 goes down as well. Another opportunity for a res, and now Paul's play is just... he's had enough. You're a monster. Tries to get the hook onto Milos and stagger him out and get some more ult charge, but it's just not happening. A minute down. No ultimates for the side of Boston yet. And pretty good hook. That should be the end of Milos. It's really hard to play hamster ball into a good Roadhog, because that hook, it's devastating. Hooking you right into a shotgun blast takes out at least half your health. A hook onto 14 that just fails. And now, really the win condition here is either 14 finding an early pick onto Zen or a barrage, or the Reinhardt getting his shatter. Because if the Reinhardt gets his shatter, he can push onto the Orisa, shatter past her shield, and get the enemy team. Still, the Dallas side doing such a good job here. Cyclical Lemming going chasing after someone, and he will find it, but maybe not necessary tire, but ultimately his call. Pause play gets the kill onto the opposing Roadhog. Now 14 still trying to do a little bit of damage, but he's a stranger in enemy lands right now. The enemy team can just figure out where he is. They might be able to kind of chase after him, but he's also in a really good position. Now he's going in, he wants to look for a barrage target. Cyclical Lemming's so weak, doesn't even need a barrage to get the finishing blow onto him. And this is finally starting to go in Boston's favor here. They use the Bongo to try and get the fight a little bit more in their favor, but just doesn't do them any favors. It goes down, as does the Orisa, as soon as the ultimate comes out. And Moira should die. There it is. Boston not capping as quickly as the side of Dallas did, but they do still cap, and that means quite a lot, especially since they do still cap with time. So, you know, they're obviously in any position you're going to be pretty happy that you weren't put on the back burner before even capping first. 3.5 minutes is plenty of time. They have 2 ultimates, really about 3 at this point, ready to go, but they're going to be playing into 3 as well. And one of those being the Zenyatta Transcendence. It's going to be not easy. Grubmerk is going to be up top here, looking to find a pick onto probably the Pharah now that she's aggressed onto him. It's such a difficult position for a Hanzo if you're in short range of a Pharah to win that fight. And now the slam comes through from Maximus. He finds 2. We'll die for it, but I think he's okay with that. Milos also getting in some good follow-up. They're capping second really quickly, especially as Cyclical goes down. Team wipe. They don't even have to wait for anyone to come back, really, as they just got in the revive onto their main tank. They'll have both support ultimates and Deadbolt to try Deadbolt ultimates to try and contest this, but they're still having to try and do so much against all of these ults. No one dies to the dragon until Maximus, I guess, walks into it. Deadbolt also taken out before he has a chance to pop ultimate. They almost see 9, but they get to point just in time. They're going to be holding it here. Pause play wants to chase after Lizka, and he will get the finisher onto her. He might also go for a 14. At close range, he could absolutely do it. Maybe should have gone for the Mercy, but honestly, a bit of an unfortunate res. It should be res just for the Moira to die again, and it is. Now, pause play may have overextended, and, you know, a bit of damage is coming out onto him, so a bit of free ult charge for Maximus, but I think, honestly, Dallas came out ahead in that scenario in basically every single way. There's still 2 minutes left for Dallas to try and hold this, but they have a lot of ultimates, so the next fight or so should be pretty easy going for them, unless they get absolutely team wiped. 14 finally coming in, but a kill onto Lizka. That's probably going to be a burn of their res, and 14 will die as well, so at this point, just not worth it, especially as Athena dies. Milos is kind of trying to maybe get a pick on the Baby Diva. He has 1 health until he heals himself up to 301. Maximus, with no follow-up for his team to help him out with, still shatters and manages to at least get the main healer. It's not too bad, but Moira's pretty fast with her fade, so The Moira will be back onto the point before he is, but a direct hit onto Grubmerk will put him into the dirt. But Cyclical decides, I'm not a fan of being a man down, so I'll go ahead and tack Vise and put it back in our favor. Look at how much time's been burned here. Look at how much time has just been wasted with the two teams kind of just jockeying around each other, getting in skirmishes instead of a real fight. And still, so many ultimates for both sides. Like, all that's been so far is a fight here, a fight there, one person from both teams dies, and everyone resets. And ultimately, that's to the favor of Dallas. Finally, the picks are going in favor of Boston. The hope is that this bomb manages to find at least someone, and probably not who they were expecting, but it still gets the main tank. Justice rains from above, but it gets ate by the Diva, so it's not going to find much of anything. Cosplay tries his hardest, but it's still not enough to finish off the kill. This should be Boston getting to the end here really easily. A dragon almost knocks down 14, but it's still not enough. The Deathstroke tries his very hardest. And finally, people are kind of starting to come back in here, and the numbers are moving back in favor of Dallas. It looks like they'll be able to hold here, especially if Cyclical can manage to get this tack Vise, and he might not even need that, as his teammates are helping him take out these targets in the sky, which would usually be his job. They was kind of struggling with a little bit there. And they managed to succeed, and Dallas takes the lead in a 2-1. Pretty well done from them. But again, it was mainly just the fact that, for some reason, the Boston side were content to kind of not do much of anything. It seems like a weird way to say it, but they were pretty content to just box around each other instead of Boston ever, like, aggressing and using all of their ults in one go. And even when they finally did that, it still wasn't enough. Usually in an instance like that, it's a pretty good idea, if you have a lot of ultimates and you know the enemy has a lot of ultimates, to go in with a dry push, to not use anything. Because then when you go in, the enemy team will use ultimates to stop you, and then on the next go around, you'll be able to have the ultimate advantage and cap it then. And if your dry push succeeds, then your dry push succeeds. But that time around, it just seemed like Boston was a little bit disorganized. And now we go on to Route 66, and if Boston want a chance of trying to win this series, they're going to need to take the next two maps. As we go on to Route 66, I like this map a lot. It seems to be one of the weirder maps in the game for this league. Let's see. I'm just checking the Discord, making sure that we're fine, that no one's saying that we need to change anything. It doesn't look like it. Okay. So if we're good to go, we're good to go. And if we need to pause, I'll just hope that it actually starts working as we begin.
Traveling to Route 66.
This map is really fun for this league. A lot of the best maps have been played here specifically. It's just kind of a weird map. Route 66 really allows for every single playstyle, and we've seen that here. It allows for, I've dug this into the dirt now, but it allows for flanking bastion. It allows for triple tank dive. It allows for normal comps. It allows for goats. Like, you can play anything here, and all of it's viable. I actually think that Route 66 is probably one of the best maps in the game. You know, at least on first and second. Actually, for the whole map, you can play Orisa. This is like one of the rare maps where you can play Orisa for the whole time and not be disadvantaged against a Reinhardt. Just pause the game for fun. Lol. It's going to be Dallas attacking first, once again, as it is every time, because they're on the right side of the screen. Seeing a little bit of a change up, they decided that playing Athena on the healing role was not doing them good enough, so instead they're having her back on the Genji. 14 on hit scan. Athena on the Genji is a pretty good combination. It accounts for a lot of things. The Blade can combo with the Grav, and 14 with the McCree can make sure that not much can be done to them if the enemy team decides to run something like a Pharah. But it looks like all it's going to be run here is a pretty mobile composition. Until finally they kind of swap it up to triple tank. This is weird. So triple tank until finally, okay, so one of them is swapped. Deathstroke swapped onto the Hanzo, so it is kind of back to a normal composition now. So two fairly standard compositions playing against each other now. They're just kind of taxing around each other. Cosplay is struggling to get in a good position to heal Grubmerk, exposing himself to the enemy team in the process. The teams are trading picks, but now that the main tank has gone down, it's going to be to Dallas's disadvantage. We see that as their soldier also falls, as does their Zen. Cosplay can try and keep the D.Va alive for as long as he wants, but ultimately it's probably just going to feed ult charge more than keep her alive. He does manage to get out though, so it's not too badly done. I think Cosplay needs to stop healing D.Va and let his Zenyatta do it though, because Cosplay already has his ultimate. It's not pausing! Oh my god. Hold on. How do you... Yeah, they know. Yeah, they know. I know. For some reason, it's not doing it. I have to change it, I guess. That sucks. Yo, yeah, I know. Look at this. It says that that's the button. What is this? It's not... Why are you like this? Hold on.
We're taking your car for a few minutes.
Enjoy. Hold on, I think I know what it is. Yes, hold on, I know what it is. I know to pause. I know to pause. I see this. I understand this. You guys have to understand that I understand this. I think I know what it is. Allow me to show this to everyone. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. There it is. Okay. That's annoying. So, I'm going to explain this. Yeah, wow. Shut up, Milos. Allow me to explain this to everyone that's here right now. So basically, like 2 games ago or something, I had a casting partner. So I let him take the pause button, and I had show health bars. So, you know, pretty easy, right? You know, it allowed me to show the health bars on my screen and all that junk. I don't know why this is doing this. I'm just bringing it back to the lobby. Anyway. The players just need better internet. You're not wrong. Anyway, so about 2 rounds ago, I was casting with someone who was hosting the game. So I was like, okay, so since you're host, you'll be the one who pauses, and I will be the one who puts show health bars, because it makes watching the games better. So I put that. I binded that key, and then, a game later, I didn't have a partner anymore, so I set the button back to, the pause button, back to pressing down on left stick. Here's the thing. Apparently, you are allowed to put 2 things down. Now, you can't do this with any other button. You can't do this with any other button. But you are allowed to put both pause and another button on the same key. Now, with any other key, it will remove what you put before and replace it with what you're putting now, which should have been the pause button. But instead, it tricked me. So, if I press down on that, it would never pause. It would, instead of pausing, show the health bars, which I didn't want it to do. So it's all just a funny misunderstanding if we're being honest. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead, uh, fix my I'll start the game and then fix my controls. Nerf pause button. Yeah, but like unironically though. Actually, no, the pause button needs a buff. The pause button needs to be buffed. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and make sure that all of these bindings are normal. Put that onto X. That's all fine. Spectate, it's fine. And this will be that. Okay, there we go. So now I can pause the game. I'm going to prove that by pausing it right now. Yes, okay. There we go. That was just a test. Just a test to make sure I can actually pause the game. But everything's fine now. We've got it all under control. So,
I never was an assassin.
so here's what I'll say. I'll say that that is technically an advantage for Dallas because they get to attack again with maybe a little bit of a better time. It's also an advantage for defense because they know what the enemy team wants to play for attack. So I'll just call it even. We'll just call it even. Anyway, still hasn't basically changed what the side of Boston is playing. They're playing the exact same thing, and by the looks of it, so is Dallas. So both teams aren't changing their compositions anyway. Grubmerk trying to get a little bit more damage done, and the main tank up top is kind of struggling a little bit. He decides to go in without full health, wants to kind of harass and push the enemy team back a bit. For being a main tank, he's not really up in front. He's not really creating much space for his players right now. 15, or Athena, will take out Cyclical Lemming to start off the fight. Trey's coming out now, so it's going to be pretty even until finally Boston decide they have a good enough advantage to kind of aggress on. Here's the thing. The fact is that Boston is running a really steady comp, and the side of Dallas is running a dive comp for all intents and purposes. What that basically means is that Dallas want to win fights very quickly, and if they can't win fights quickly, then they will probably not win fights at all. And we see that they're still struggling with this now. Maximus wants to be kept alive as well, because if he goes down with so much Zarya charge, he'll be quite an upset little boy. Cyclical Lemming coming back in. He almost has his tire, but so many ultimates, basically all 6 online for Boston. They're not really struggling to the point of needing to use them just yet. Maximus finally decides it's time for his to come out. And off the back of that, even though he may die, the rest of his team will get a pretty good advantage going forward. At the cost of 2 ultimates, they'll basically be able to get a team wipe the side of Boston will, and I think they're okay with this. And now we're basically at the point where we were last time, so everything's fine. I don't think that you meant to do that. Well, in any case, Cyclical Lemming still has this Junkrat tire in the event that he wants to use it. Normally you'd get the benefit of surprise, but he lets it be known exactly where he's coming from, so it's not going to be as effective theoretically. And yes, because they know where to look for, 14 will take it down. Deathstroke diving in with this ultimate. Deathstroke tries to body block, but ultimately speaking, all of these ultimates are still going to come and smack the side of Dallas in the face. 14 left Milos to die. Yeah, you're right. these two teams are they're in kind of similar positions now in terms of coming up on ultimates. Milos has his Valk, and Liz will get Coalescence pretty quickly. Deathstroke also basically has his, so Deathstroke can afford to get really aggressive onto a push right now. Cyclical Lemming also trying to harass from the side. Almost gets taken out for it, and we hear the screams of Genji in pain. Monkey ult coming through. He wants to try and smack some of the enemy team around, maybe keep Lizka out of the fight, but she just fades right back in. Now he gets pinned into the wall, is in really bad shape, almost dies for it, possibly keeping him alive as best they possibly can. Look at all the ultimates still basically here for Boston, but they don't seem to matter. They're still losing the ground war. They're guaranteed to try and take this fight if they can afford to. They're putting so much into it, but I think even with all that investment, they're not going to get much in the way of returns. Yeah, it seems like they will go down, even if they do put up a pretty valiant fight at the very end there. So Dallas will take it to the end of first.
Keep out of my way.
Looking at ultimates, both support ults for the Dallas side, so they can do a really good job of keeping their teammates alive. Usually in this situation, you nano the Winston after he jumps in and gets a little bit low. It allows him to hopefully get his primal rage before he actually dies with the nano boost on. So we'll see if that's the route they decide to go for. Yeah, they decide to nano him before he even gets really that low on health, which I think is a bit of a mistake, but he's still getting a lot of damage for his trouble. Nano's already gone, but he wants to go for this Mercy. Manages to almost take her out, and he decides it's worth ulting for, but his Ana was going to finish the job anyway. Monkey's kind of jumping around, but he can't really get in a good dance, and the payload has stopped being pushed. Okay, there it goes again. Dallas still have two ultimates here, but they're fighting against basically 6 at this point from the opposing side, so how much can they really do here? They're going to charge into this Reaper and just manage to not find him. Crash down, takes out this off-tank and the Lucio. That'll put his team in a good position. Also get Milos a little bit more healing. Not enough healing is going to save you from a Reaper if you expose yourself to him, though, and now it's Reaper who's the one that will be taken out instead. Dallas is in a bit of a struggle mode right now. They're almost coming up on Nano, Blade, Grav if they want to wait and use 3 ults to hopefully win the next fight. It might not be a terrible idea because right now they're staring 5 ultimates in the face, so it's going to be a pretty difficult thing to try and get over in terms of difficulty. But Grubmerk uses his blade and doesn't find anything with it. He didn't combo it with either Nano or Grav, which is a bit of a mistake. Pause play tried. Unfortunately for him, camera lag, he knew what he wanted to do, but the controller said no. Now at 18 seconds, so many ultimates are online for Dallas, and it'd be a real shame if they didn't even get to use them because no one's able to touch and recontest and bring this into overtime. It looks like Grubmerk wants to be the one who gets the job done. He's going to have to be if he can manage it. Just manages to touch, so we'll go into overtime. That's about all it's going to do. Cyclical Lemming manages to get at least 1 pick, but that's really about it. Shenron tried to graviton the payload, but I can't see it anywhere around, so that's as far as Dallas are going to manage to push it. Now it's going to be interesting, to put it simply, to see how the attack is going to look like for the side of Boston. They know that they don't have to get this too far in order to bring us into our 5th map. If they can just get a win right here and now. Now here's the thing. We've seen, in fact, Dallas and the component piece of Grubmerk, who apparently is a substitute turn full-fledged player, I guess. Grubmerk is the legendary Bastion, the legendary flanking Bastion from last week. on this map, who managed to basically take out entire teams by himself out of seemingly nowhere. But it doesn't seem like they want to do that this time around. They probably expect that the other team expects that that's what they're going to be going for. So instead, they're going to have Grubmerk just stay on this Tracer. It's a pretty safe bet. It's hard to counter Tracer unless you play something like a Brigitte, especially if the Tracer is any good whatsoever. Other than that, both of the teams at this point in time look pretty standard. I have no real problems with either one of them, so it'll be interesting to see what becomes of it. I think a lot of the fights are going to depend on how good Grubmerk is at sniffing out weakened enemies that get weakened by cyclical lemming spam into the enemy team. If he does a good job at finishing them off, then this should be Dallas holding pretty well, but if not, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. It's fed a lot of ult charge to Deadbolt on the Rhine, and he's already almost at 30% to it. Trap coming down gets destroyed, but they see that Deadbolt's weak, so they kind of want to go for him. Grubmerk in the back getting a little bit of damage done, or at least some harassment. Because the enemy team is distracted, they're not going to realize that Cyclical Lemming is spamming them with mines from behind. It's a little bit of a standoff here, but the standoff, it should have been won by Dallas. They have the spam advantage, but Deathstroke extends a little bit too far and falls. So much ult charge made for Cyclical Lemming though, but it's just not enough. Deadbolt manages to get a slam, and off the back of that, a lot of kills. So put simply, it's looking like Dallas are going to have to give up a lot of space on this point. They will be able to recontest, even if just barely. If they get pushed right now, though, they're still pretty low on numbers, and I think the enemy team recognizes that fact. Cosplay has this Graviton, and it will finally come out. Both sides' Gravitons come out, and now Athena, using the help of that Grav, will manage to get some good damage in on the enemy. Well done for them. A lot of space made, really clean first pick, and now they have 5 whole minutes to get it all the way to basically second in order to win their second map, the 4th map, and bring us into map 5. Athena's Genji bouncing around. Grubmerk was stalling the payload all the way over there, not bad. And 15, or still Athena, just kind of picking away, trying to get ult charge. Meanwhile, back on the payload, Ryan's Shatter is used, but it doesn't get much of anything. And almost manages to get the confirmed kill onto the Zarya, but just doesn't manage it. Now 14 in the kind of run for his life, goes down to the Brigitte and the Tracer combination. However, that's left Dallas without 2 heroes for a little bit, and that's not going to be a fun time for them. But now that they've regrouped, they're hoping to get a little bit of reinforcements. Athena almost goes down, but manages to get away, and if Hockey Man thinks that he can delay this payload all by his lonesome, or even with the help of Cosplay, I think he's pretty sorely mistaken. However, they're still not getting aggressed onto, at least until now, so it wasn't too bad of them to do that job right then. Cyclical Lemming will also get a pick there, as well as Cosplay finding another. So that's a 4v6 in favor of Dallas. They have a Graviton on the enemy team now. They're just going to be trying to rain a bit of Hellfire, and Grubmerk is going to rain a little bit of Pulse Bomb fire in order to finish it off. Milos just gets melted. You can't put a spin on that. He just died. As for just dying, it will surprise me quite a lot if Dallas can manage to survive against the 3 ults that are coming their way from the enemy team. Athena coming up has the Dragon Blade now, and both of the tanks have their ultimates, which combo really well in order to get a singular teamfight win at the very least. Lob spam coming through. They're going to have to play against an opposing couple of Shatters, and the Shatter manages to find at least one, and even though Athena isn't one of them, she still gets taken out by Cyclical Lemming. Zarya gets pinned into the wall and should die for it, but the numbers are still trading pretty evenly. trying to get a pulse bomb kill. Deadbolt just manages to maneuver his shield in time, though. So well done from him. Two teams kind of boxing out here. It's still only 2 minutes left remaining, and Cyclical Lemming has this tire, and Hockeyman has his armor, so this team has a lot of sustain and a lot of damage to go around in order to at least save them the next couple of pushes. Cyclical Lemming, he hears them coming that way. By the prickling of his thumb, something wicked through that doorway comes, and now he has this tire, but they also know where he is, so he's a little bit hesitant on using it. Meanwhile, 14 trying to rain down the enemy team. He recognizes that the enemy doesn't actually have a hit scan, so he thinks that he can get something out of that fact. Cyclical Lemming coming in with a tire. He wants to put this in his team's favor, and he will. It's now currently a 4v5, 5v5, 4v5. The numbers are still in favor of Dallas. Now basically only a minute left, and they still have quite a few ultimates. This is absolutely still winnable for Dallas. Keep in mind that Boston started off with an entire 5 minutes to cap just second point. And second point is a very difficult point to hold. Possibly he's getting a little bit aggressive here. He'll get full charge for it, but it's a play that I wouldn't have made. Now a minute left, and they have to push into so many ultimates. Literally, Dallas has twice the ultimates that they do, and I don't think that it's really going to be possible for Boston to win this in the end, especially now that they've lost one of their numbers. Milos is going to go for the res, but that leaves 14 without a pocket, and he almost goes down for it. Pause play, managing to find it. You know, the Zarya beam, if the Zarya gets higher charge, the beam actually tracks better. I didn't know that, but apparently it's true. And we can see that as he manages to get the finish onto that Pharah. And now still, so many ultimates, and one of them is Cyclical Lemming with the tire, the other pause play with the grab. That's enough to end this right here and right now. Cyclical Lemming coming with the tire, he's all the way behind them. Doesn't even need it. Their numbers are already starting to fall, but he still wants to find something. Tire's just running around, not self-destructs. Actually manages to do quite a bit of damage onto Athena at the very least, but this is still over. This is still done. Dallas are the victors. They have won. 3-1. Well done from the Dallas team.
Play of the game.
I'm now plugging in my laptop, which I was using to A, look at chat, and B, at the Discord, because it died, so I'm flying blind here. There we go, finally. Well, ultimately, still really well done by the Dallas side. I'm kind of surprised that they managed to get that win, but they still did it. So now, it's really just kind of comes down to who do I interview. Now, I've interviewed Grub Merc before. He was pretty good for it. But if we're being honest, I think it's pretty fair to say that this time around, the real star for Dallas was not Grub. The real star this time was Pause Play. So I want to try and get him for the interview this time. So I've sent an interview to Pause Play. I hope that he joins. And then after him, I'm not really. Grubmark is really good for interviews. He is, but I've interviewed him before when he kind of had his time to shine. Maximus was Boston's best player, maybe. He did well, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I'll interview Maximus. Alright, hold on. Time to ping. Interview pause. Interviews? Yeah, I am interviewing. I'm interviewing, well, I wanted to interview. Pause. Can we pause the interview, please? What does that mean? When does London play? London plays tomorrow, I think? Actually, no, London doesn't play today. Because, London, unfortunately had to, well, not really unfortunately for them, because they just wanted to play. They weren't able to play this weekend because, it basically got canceled in that they won the 4-0 because the other team had to forfeit because they couldn't find enough players in time. Dallas, the new good team. Yeah, Dallas scary now. Don't take Grub from us. I mean, okay, so he didn't show up, so I guess Grub, you're up. Grub, you're a good interviewer. You're a good interviewee. Hello again. Hello. Hello?
Ah, there we go.
Ah, there it is. There it is. And I know that you've already got your thing
Turn that
set
down
up.
because we got the stream on. Look, guys, look. I know you guys want to pick me up. I know Dallas loves me. London is my heart, though. I gotta first and foremost say that. They won't let me play DPS, which is a mistake, obviously. But hey.
What can you say, man? What can you say on
I
mean,
can say
look,
this. Boston is a very good team.
Boston is a good team.
I'm just a better DPS than 14. Fuck 14. I'm saying it on stream. No. I'm getting fined. I'm XQC. Charge. No, I'm done. I'm kidding. I need to calm down.
Fined $4,000 and banned.
Easy claps, boys.
I mean, at least West says that you can play DPS. So there you go. You've got one supporter from your team.
They said I'm a fifth map DPS main though.
Fifth map DPS main. Fuck.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's a step up though from main tank. So.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. Look, I'm convinced. I think you found your rightful calling. No, I promised you, Grub, that we will now on always consider you to play for London when it comes to fifth map. Yeah, that's the problem, Turbo. That's the problem. He doesn't want to play DPS on fifth map. He wants to play it the whole time.
Somebody tell Andy. Hey, yo, clip this. Somebody tell Andy he's trash. Andy, tell him he's trash. Yeah, I'm exposing his last name too. He's trash.
Oh
his
my
Hanzo
God.
is garbage. Somebody tell 14 too. Same message. He's trash. Garbage. Tell Athena, mute me one more time. Tell Deadbolt he's a trash mod. I'm coming for everybody. Houston, you're next. I'll see you in the finals, baby. Alright, I'm out.
Goodbye. I love Grub. He's good. Easy interview. Clap. Yeah, I mean, look, when the interviewee just like grabs the mic from you, just let it go. Just let it just like take your hand off the fucking wheel and just let them do whatever they're going to do, cuz it'll be way better than whatever you're trying to get done. Look, here's the thing. I tried to have a legitimate interview with Pause. If I'd had an interview with Pause, it would have been like, how did you guys feel about this? But instead, he didn't show up. So, of course, I'm going to default on one of the best people to interview in the league. And I feel fine about that. Interview 14. Yeah, sure, I'll interview 14. Ask 14 how's it good feeding? Fuck. Yeah, I'm interviewing 14. Liz, I read Twitch chat much more than I read the Discord at this point. Hello. How's it going?
So,
Nothing much. Do you have it set so that your voice gets shared? I imagine so, since
Yeah, I
you've
do.
already cast it.
Yeah.
All right. So, first, it feels kind of important to point out that Grub Merc just kind of came in here and gave an interview in which he said that you were trash, and that
yeah,
Athena's trash, and that Volt is a bad mod, and that he was coming for everybody. And yeah.
Well,
So
all I can say to that is he is a silver Hanzo main and you can't escape that fact.
you got him. There you go. I mean, his own look. How good can he even be? He got carried by Pause, and he got carried by Pause. We all know that, and his own team won't let him DPS. So how good is he really?
I'm just saying, if you can't play DPS on a team of support mains, then there's probably something wrong there.
Yeah. Yeah, you got him. Yeah. So, even caster is bad mouthing Grub. Yeah, you're right. Now, clearly, you guys lost the game. What do you think might have been the biggest problem there, other than Pause being a player that existed?
I think our biggest problem was just our communication wasn't good enough this game, and our ult usage and economy and stuff. We didn't play very well overall in general. I don't think anyone played that well, so it just wasn't a good game.
Yeah, it's just you guys think it was just kind of a bad game for you guys? Yeah, I didn't see that.
It was just a bad game.
Yeah, there were a few kind of moments where it seemed like you guys, like the 5-minute hold on second and stuff like that. Just if you could do it over again, it'd work out fine probably, but with one go around, yeah. Were there any particular things about that though that, like, I imagine at a certain point, if you guys are just playing kind of what you feel poorly, were there any sort of like problems with tilt or anything like that started to creep in?
I around the last map, I'd say mostly. Like, it was just everyone was getting annoyed at different things. It just wasn't a good game. We just had a really bad game.
Mhm. Now you have technically lost your win streak, which I'm sure you're a bit upset about at the very least. But you know, it's a long season relatively. It's a long season. So you know, how do you think about what do you think about the teams in this league as a whole at this point? Because, I made my write up, and I have my own opinions on all of them, but...
Yeah, I'd say definitely compared to the old PwC, everyone's improved, everyone's a lot better, and people are catching up to us. Like, we're not going to stomp the league like we did before, so there is that. But I said this last time, I still think that we're going to win. We've had bad games, and we've still won. It's just this one didn't go for us. I think we'll be fine. But I do
Yeah.
think a lot of teams are getting better, getting a lot more synergy, playing well.
So you think the competition is just kind of catching up on you guys, and that comboed
Yeah.
with the fact that this time just wasn't a good game made it a
Yeah,
little bit rough.
I still think overall, I still think we have the best roster. I still think we have the best players, but we have our off days. Like we didn't play well against Florida last time, and we won 3-2, but we didn't play well. So
So legitimately just feels bad, man. We'll get them next time.
yeah, pretty much.
Well, if that's how you feel about it, good to know that you're still confident as ever in your team. And now we finished the interviews. This is going to be the end of the first day of this weekend, and I will be back tomorrow morning with the first game, and then thankfully not the other two, because I'm tired of casting 3 games in a row, to be honest. But we've got more casters now, and some people signed up, so hopefully that will not be an issue. Now, moving on, tomorrow should be pretty good. I don't actually know that. I'm kind of talking out my ass. What's the actual schedule look like? All right, tomorrow, Seoul versus Houston. Houston is the strongest team in the league right now, I would say. Now, I know that 14 believes he has the strongest roster, and I think it's in contention. But Houston just has a lot of star players.
We did
Game
beat them,
after.
though.
You did.
Just saying.
You did. LAS versus San Fran. I like San Fran quite a lot. I think that they have an interesting team, and they shouldn't be as low in the standings as they are at the moment. But the more interesting part about that, and technically the next game as well to me, is San Fran versus LAS will be casted by 3 people, so that should be fun. And then the game after that is going to be Florida, who are hoping to get their first win of the regular season against New York, who again is kind of a middle of the pack team at the moment, and they are probably looking to pick themselves up with what they're hoping for is an easy win. So that's it for me this time around. See everybody tomorrow, and that's looking to be the end of the stream. Adios, everybody.